Morning. Start off, kind of has been the big talk of what happened with the shooting. I would say, I mean, it's before you even ask, it's hard for me, I think for anybody to have a direct opinion on this incident because the first thing I think about is I have three kids. Now my kids are one's working in Houston. He's 27. I have two daughters in college. But the fact that they were in school, and you would think that's the safest place that they would be for things like this to happen. So it's the one thing I do have is empathy for the people that was a part of it. But man, it's hard to have a true opinion or feeling on those situations because you think that school is probably the safest place for your children to be at. And for something like this to happen, man, it's terrible. It's terrible. So that's been my stance on it. It's a tough situation, man, and just for the parents that had kids as a part of that, because I am a parent, it's hard to think about. It's hard to deal with. So that's my thoughts on that. Defensively, as a team, again, I thought this was one of our better performances. All right. Did we get the win? No, we didn't. Did we have a chance to get the win? Just like every week, we always have a chance. But we didn't get it. And that's one thing that we as a defense, and I'm just speaking defensively, we got to continue to understand, man, how do we keep the points down? Because that is our job. All right, regardless of what the situation is. I don't care if our offense scored 3 points. I don't care if they scored 30 points. Our job is to keep the points down. And I'm proud of our guys. All right, and I'm going back since the bye week that we talked, that each week they continue to improve in those areas that we talked about. So we just got to continue to improve in those areas and continue to try to be the best defense that we can be and try to get the most out of players that we have. So let's open up for questions.
Coach Campbell has talked about play calling and how when the game is tight now, it changes or impacts how he calls plays. What about defensively? When you're in a tight game like that and the resources you have, does it impact how you call plays?
Well, I would say this for the most part, at any time during the game, I think players, not plays. That's how I operate. And try to make sure I can put each player in the best position they could be to be successful. So it could be a tight game, it could be a game at the beginning of the game, middle. It doesn't matter to me. I'm always thinking player first. So every play that you see me call, I'm trying to make sure that if I can get a quarterback matched up on a guy, I'm going to call a play to be able to do that. If I can get a minded situation where he can be one-on-one, I know the ball's going to him because I know he can get a chance to get his hands on the ball, I'm going to call a play to do that. So each time, that's what I'm thinking, right? We all, as coaches and as players, have to understand how to execute every time we go out and have these plays.
Played really well in Chicago. Obviously, you talked about really better performances overall. Disappointing was that last drive, though. 18 plays, 8 minutes, 30 seconds. You guys just couldn't make that one play to get off the field. You played so well overall, but does that put maybe a little bit bad taste with how it ended there?
A bad taste comes with a loss in general. To me, I look at playing this game in general, all right, just like you played the position of corner. Like you could have 59 great plays and that one bad play, and you're always going to be looked at that bad play. And that's just what it is. That's just defensive football. So I look at that last drive, as good as we played all through the game, I look at that last drive as a black eye for us. Because, man, we looked at it together as a defensive staff, and there were like 3 plays we could have got off the field, right? We had the quarterback sacked. We had a chance to get the ball, all right, and we didn't make those plays. And that comes from just youth and experience and understanding, man, how do you finish, right? That's always been something that we've talked about, is how do you finish? And I think the best teams in this league, right, they understand how to finish. I mean, it's going to take us time. I mean, not just because we're a new regime, man, because we have a lot of young guys. I mean, I don't know for a fact, but I think we're one of the youngest teams in this league. And then we had a lot of guys they just came out of college. And they played a certain way in college, right? So now they have to understand how the league works. So we have to make sure we continue to teach, as coaches, continue to teach and keep learning ourselves, right? How do we win these games, right? And I tell our guys, listen, we're in this thing together. All right, it's not coaches on this side and players on this side. Man, we're all in this thing together. So when things happen to those guys, man, I feel bad about it. Same thing as if I have a bad call, I mean, I expect them to get me out of it, right? Just like I expect to put them in position to make plays. And that's just how this league is.
Within the context of that last drive, just the very closing sequence, obviously the double timeout, seemed like the defense had some communication issues coming out of the first one. And then once it was 3rd and 4, the play call you had there was a lot of cushion for those guys. It seemed like an easy conversion. What were you trying to accomplish there? Why didn't it work?
Well, let's go back to the timeouts. First off, I mean, obviously we all knew that you can't call 2 timeouts, all right? But you look at that sequence of plays, the one thing that we all have to understand, those guys get coached too. And I think one of those guys said if they were going to catch the ball, they were going to go down anyway. They weren't going to try to score. You know, so at that situation, if they would have caught the ball, they had ample time to get to the first down and fall down, right? And then they would try to run the clock out, right, at that point. So our situation was, man, listen, if we don't want to give them an inch to be able to have that type of situation on it. So obviously we called the timeout to get the next play. We called a pressure on the next play. Now, I wish I would have told Will Harris to challenge in that situation, right? I should have told him that. But we called it pressure, right? And he was just playing off. I mean, again, that's just, second time playing nickel a whole game. So sometimes we put so much blame on players and man, listen, it's that guy's just now learning, right? So I told him, I said, that wasn't your fault, man, that's my fault, right? Because I put you in that situation as a new player playing that position, right? So I got to make sure I help that player as far as how to operate in those situations.
That feeds into what you were saying, kind of what I asked Dan yesterday. Like, you're also learning to win in this role, right? Like you're
man, we're always
all the
learning.
different things.
Man, we are. I've said this to every one of our players. If your ego gets to the point where you're not learning, then you're done in this league. I think the same way as coaches also, because the game is always evolving. I mean, you look at a lot of the college concepts that come into our league, so we better learn them. And we better understand, we better meet with those college guys and understand them. Because especially quarterbacks, I mean, they come in a system in college, and you better make sure that you can put him in those situations that he was doing well in college. So we have to learn those things. All right, you take Lamar Jackson comes in, I mean, shoot, we're just now learning how to stop that guy, right? Because of some of the things he did in college. So, man, you always want to evolve as a player and as a coach. And I have no ego to continue to learn in that aspect.
Coach Moore saying that it's on you that last call. Doesn't there have to be some situational awareness?
Say it one more time.
Doesn't there have to be some situational awareness by the player in that last play? I mean, if you know it's 3rd and 4.
Yeah, but it's up to us to teach. And I get it. But still, to me, every player's failure is my failure, and I'm just built like that. Every player's failure, because I have to teach that in that situation. And I would say this, Will won't make that mistake again, right? Because I'm gonna make sure that I teach as far as that situation is concerned. Because other than that, man, I thought he did a pretty good job at playing the position that we have to make him play, that he's usually playing the safety position.
The fact that you guys played Madison in Minnesota before, does that help with the scheme this time? What plays he likes, what plays they run with him, or have they changed it up?
You know what? I don't think they changed much, you know, as far as the run game. I mean, they do what they do. I mean, obviously from Kubiak that was first there, I mean, he's been pretty successful as far as running the ball. So I don't think they want to change up. And he's been successful with just some no-names backs back in the day. But you have a guy like Madison that's a really good player. I mean, he's in a great situation as far as this running game is concerned. So I don't see them change up at all. You know, the thing we got to do is just go out there and be stout and just play as good as we did the first time that we played them. Because I think we've showed that we can go out there and compete with those guys.
Jerry's kind of locked down that starting cornerback job as Fatu comes back here, deservedly so. So as you look to work Iffy back into the lineup, is some nickel a possibility given that you're working there and training him?
Well, I would say this about Iffy. Iffy's played nickel for us. He's played outside corner for us. He's played dime for us. So there's some versatility there. So we're going to use that player as a matchup piece. Can't say exactly where we're going to use him at, but we're going to use him. All right, and that's the luxury of having a player like that. Yes, Jerry has done a really good job at playing an outside corner, but no one has anything locked up because you earn your job every week. And that's just what it is. And you see that from different guys playing. We've had a lot of different guys go play, and that's how this game should be. I mean, you earn your keep right, during the week, right? And if you earn it, you get a chance to play.
That's one, Mike.
Yeah, just a question about Jerry Jacobs. Is there something you saw in him right away that you thought he might have something you could make it in the National Football League?
Mentality, first and foremost. And he's built like you like him to be built. Honestly, we actually looked at Jerry as a nickel because he's sturdy. He's a 200-pound corner, all right, that's built to last. He can tackle. So all those qualifications to me says nickel. The thing is, he goes up there and play corner, right? And I would say the height deal is not an issue for him because of his athleticism. So we're happy with the player. The player still continuing to learn. But just like I said before, each week he has to earn his keep as far as keeping that starting position.
Just one more on this like double timeout situation there. Because you have such a young roster, is there like a point where you be and with an experienced roster, we'd say, all right, let's just go figure it out, just let it go? Like,
No, man, you're always coaching in this league. And I would say this, all right, because you see this all the time in this league when it comes to decision making. And I learned this as a corner back in the day that anytime you're in a major position quarterback corner, all right, decisions are going to be made. And regardless of the success or the failure of that decision, you're always going to get criticized, right? It could be a bad decision, but if it works out, everyone says it's a good decision. It could be a good decision. If it don't work out, why you do that? So that's what I've learned, and I think a lot of coaches in this league have learned to be able to deal with. Listen, man, you got to make a decision right now. Whatever happens to that decision, man, you move on to the next one, right? And that's what we do as coaches, right? Listen, decision didn't pan out, because if we would have stopped them on the 3rd and 4th, what you guys would have been saying? Oh, hell, that was the greatest decision ever. Because he could have came, got the ball at the first down, went down, and they could have ran the clock out. So we just understand how those things go, and, man, we just continue to move forward. So that's my feelings about it.